Yo, what's up, Blackest fam? I hope all is well in your corner of the world. Man, really excited to get back into some Coast Contra. Right? I haven't heard. I heard one track that I didn't really, it wasn't my thing. It felt like they were not being true to everything else that I've heard from them. I saw one track where there was some chick dropping down on a car. They had like some chains on. It just wasn't the vibe I was looking for. But man, all the freestyles I've heard and some of the tracks off this Apartment 505 had just been sick. Excellent wordplay. Really excited to get into Pangea. Pangea, for those that don't know, it's the name of the supercontinent, right? If I'm using it the same way they are. The name Pangea is actually ancient Greek. It actually means all or whole. It's the concept that the continents once formed one continuous landmass, right, before they broke up into several continents. But let's get into this. There's no video, so I'm just doing. You're just unfortunately looking at me, but it's cool. I don't know anything about this, so it's a reaction as well as a breakdown. We'll try to do it some justice. I think we've been able to catch most of the wordplay, but it's still been off the charts. Let's get right into it.
Move out, nigga, whose house? Coast Contra, get the news out. Extra, extra, nigga, so extra.
That's your favorite rapper? I got
Put 'em on the stretcher.
They tell me I'm too ironic. I mean it that I'm the nicest. I'm free because I'm on prices. I cheated on all my vices.
Yo, I gotta run that back. I did not expect that. That's that cat. I believe his name is Eric Jamal. That's the one that's like left, right, kick, punch, cut. I saw the Medusa, right? His style is just so sick. It's just on point. It just gets you kind of geeked up. But I did not expect him to be the first person. Normally, he's like last or next to last on these freestyles. I think it's really funny too. He's like extra, extra. Read all about it. That's old school. I think a lot of young cats. Younger than me anyway. I'm 40. I was born in 1982. But in the old days, right, the 1900s, this is before TV, radio, the internet. Most people who followed the news got their information from a newspaper, which they were normally published every day. Very typical to what they do now, right? But if there was a major story, let's say a president or something happened with the war, right? Whatever war of the day, then the newspaper might choose to put out an extra edition, and that was on top of the regular edition, right? So sometimes it was identical to the main edition, but the first few pages were replaced. And then think about it, as in the 1940s, this really changed when newspapers had a lot more competition from radio and then eventually TV. So all these places try to claim that they had something extra so that they can really boost their circulation. And you think about that. You got shows like Extra, right, to Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Tribune that were doing the same thing all the way up until my childhood. But normally you think of like the paper boy or somebody, extra, extra, get your newspaper for a nickel, read all about it. Jesse Jones is the number one, blah, 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 right? That's what they're referring to anyway.
Move out, nigga, whose house? Coast Contra,
Get the news out.
Extra, extra, nigga, so extra.
And obviously he's still playing on extra, like motherfuckers. People call me extra all the time, right? They're like, man, bro, you spend more time at a barbershop for a motherfucker with no hair, right? But I gotta get my beard on point, right? I like my shoes. I like my elbow patches, my blazers, when I step out. People are like, bro, you the most extra dude. And I'm saying, so it could be a compliment as well.
Get the news out. Extra, extra, nigga, so extra.
That's your favorite rapper? I got
Put 'em on the stretcher.
Who's going first?
I mean it that I'm the nicest. I'm free because I
Oh, you see what he said there? They tell me I'm too ironic. And what he say? I mean it. I'm the nicest. The wordplay is there with mean it, right? He's nice, but his flow is mean. And that itself is what's ironic, right? I mean it. I'm the nicest, but the flow isn't, right?
On the stretch.
They tell me I'm too ironic. I mean it that I'm the nicest. I'm free because I know I'm priceless. I cheated on all my vices.
He's talking about spiritually free, right? I'm free because I know I'm priceless, right? What is he saying? Like, it sounds like he knows he's speaking his own truth, right? You can't put a price on me being unique, right? 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million, but financially free, like priceless, or without being able to put a price tag on.
Tell me I'm too ironic. I mean it that I'm the nicest. I'm free because I know I'm priceless. I cheated on all my vices. Through Christ, I know who Christ is. She told me I'm his disciple.
Through crisis, I know who Christ is, right? The wordplay there, because of all I've been through, I know Christ, and I now have a relationship with God, is what he's saying.
Because I know I'm priceless. I cheated on all my vices. Through Christ, I know who Christ is. She told me I'm his disciple. I told him he'll be my idol. Just put this verse in the Bible. It might make me feel like...
Bro, talk about real hip-hop, man. It's been so long since I've heard something like this. You know how excited you used to be when new hip-hop dropped? You hear something you've never heard before. It's like nowadays, you put on the radio, everybody's, on the trap, on the beat, on the gas, motherfuckers, where you at, mother. It's like, what? What happened to hip hop, bro?
That I'm the nicest. I'm free because I know I'm priceless. I
This
cheated
is
on
sick.
all my vices. Through Christ, I know who Christ is. She told me I'm his disciple. I told him he'll be my idol. Just put this verse in the Bible. It might make me feel like Tyson. They hear me and get the bite in the fear.
Oh, he said, what did he say? They something about the mic make me feel like Tyson, right? That's a play on Mike Tyson, who's, I think most people would agree that he's one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all times. But they said, what do you say? You hear me or something, and they get the bite in. People biting in hip hop is like imitating you, right? Stealing your style, trying to sound like you. But biting, there was a famous match known as the ear match, right? I remember I was there for well, not there, but I was watching this. That's Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, right? This was this huge fight. They call it the bite fight. You can find it on YouTube. This is when I was in first year of high school, I believe. So 96, 97. Mike Tyson was in this fight, bit a portion of this cat's ear off during the fight, right? And remarkably came back to boxing after being disqualified. But that's the match he's talking about in the reference with biting and Mike and the play on a microphone as well as Mike Tyson. The fear of a Leonidas, right? That's he was the king of Sparta, and that's where the legend, the man, the myth, the legend came of leading these 300 men. If you ever saw the movie 300, you might know of Sparta, right? The king of Sparta. We just heard a reference like this in the King Los freestyle we just heard, right? He said, author, write this, but joints swell up or something at the arthritis, right? The wordplay on author, write this.
They hear me and get the bite in the fear of a Leonidas. Arthritis, the shit that these niggas writing, I'm over it like a hyphen. I know.
Ooh, see, that's a common misconception, though. A lot of people think that when you say something like "I'm over it," that there's a need for a hyphen. All right, there's not necessarily when you have what they call living prefixes, right? But if it's attached to an adjective or a verb, I don't believe it requires a hyphen. But he said over it like a hyphen. Again, it's just wordplay. But I'm so over it, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so over it, I'm done with him. That the play with over it in the hyphens.
Hear me and get the bite in the fear of a Leonidas. Arthritis, the shit that these niggas writing, I'm over it like a hyphen. I know that I'm indecisive. I like it if you don't write it. West, nigga, I'm from Philly. Bitches call me Ties, my niggas call me Titty.
Titty?
When we in the city, if you in the building, holla if you hear me. Knock down the domino, have a nice fall like Geronimo lost.
Woo! He said, knock down the domino. Now, this is one of the twins. I can't distinguish between the two of them yet. But I got the Rio dude and I got Eric Jamal, but the brothers, I still can't decipher between the two. But I like what he said there, right? He said, knock down like domino, have a nice fall like Geronimo. And again, these are things that aren't in everyday, not in the culture anymore, but there's two different stories for Geronimo. There's probably more than that, but the first one is traced back to the military. It's this guy named Aubrey Eberhart. Um, Aubrey was in the U.S. Army, and they were basically these guys went out. They went to the movies. Supposedly, they watched this Geronimo movie. They were drinking, and the next day when they were jumping out of planes, it was kind of like a bet that he had that he was going to yell Geronimo when he jumps out the door. And then it kind of picked up. It kind of went with it. The whole team started using it. The military started using it, as well as they actually put it on a lot of their what they call insignia, right? A lot of their military badges and patches. But there's also a story that Geronimo himself jumped off a cliff to land on his horse. And when he yelled, he was like, Geronimo! Boom! Jumped on his horse and got away. So I don't really know. And I think you guys, most people would understand who Geronimo is and how he fought for Native Americans for decades. A lot was going on in the world at that time, but we can make a whole video on that. But let's get back to the Pangea. I just want to reference. He said the loss, cause, and effect. Right. That's normally something that it's mainly an argument that slavery wasn't the primary cause, or not the cause at all, of the Civil War, and that's. Again, a lot of us have heard different. But also I wanted to reference the cause and effect of the falling dominoes as well, right? Sick. Conjugal, he's referring to conjugal visits. But he said different when women fuck with the bars. When women fuck with the bars in his rhyme. But also conjugal visits, it's a scheduled period when you're an inmate, you're in a prison, you're in a jail, you could spend several hours or days with your significant other. And they only do it, obviously it's for sex, right? But it's only in certain states. Not every state does this.
Knock down the domino, have a nice fall like Geronimo, lost cause and effect. Y'all criminals, different when women fuck with the bars like conjugal. Shake them, the scar,
They're just the bars, still like bars like criminals as well, right?
When women fuck with the bars like conjugal. Shake them, the scar, shrapnel. What's wrong with the jury? I'm Rasta.
Again, bars, criminals, the shrapnel is talking about shanking them, right? When you use a shanking someone in prison. Stabbing them.
Shake them, the scar, shrapnel. What's wrong with the jury? I'm Rastafari for an eye, blind fury, no crime.
Did he get Jamaican on us? He said Wagwan with the jury, right? I think that's normally that's a slang term though, but I believe it's Jamaican. Nagwan is like what's going on, right? And then you could say Nagwan, right? I believe that's what he's talking to. It's like the Rasta, the Jamaican, Jamaican but urban.
The bars like conjugal, shake them, the scar, shrapnel. What's wrong with the jury? I'm Rastafari for an eye, blind fury.
Oh yeah, he said I'm Rastafari for an eye, blind fury. And that's sick. There's a few different references there. He could be referencing Blind Fury, the movie. But he could be shout out to rapper Blind Fury. If you guys are familiar with 106 in Park and BET Freestyle Fridays, it's an incredible lyricist. His name is Blind Fury because he's actually legally blind. But I like what he says. He says Rastafari for an eye. Rastafari is a very complex thing, right? I means God is within all man, right? Or all men. So they have the Rastafari is called the bond of God. So they replace, they don't say you and I and we. You have to say like I and I, which makes sense with what he's saying. I'm Rastafari for an I, right? It's actually really, if you really want to dig into the Rastafari movement, you could research his Jamaican leader, Marcus Garvey. There's a lot of just crazy information. Marcus Garvey essentially wanted black people to return to Africa, which was considered the homeland, and he wanted them to build their own unique and really a culture, but ultimately come back to Africa. But he had a lot of followers back in his day, and of course, you guys can guess what happened to poor Marcus Garvey.
With the jury, I'm Rastafari for an eye, blind fury, no cry, no worry.
No cry, no worry, right? But you don't worry. Nigh is like, it could mean distance, right? You think of something that's a short distance away. He could be playing on what he said with an eye, right? Because if you're a short distance away, you could be short-sighted or far-sighted, right? So there could be some wordplay there. We'll run it back. Kind of gives me the vibe of like the No Woman, No Cry, like Wyclef Jean, Fujila, right?
Rastafari for an eye, blind fury, no cry, no worry. X times we look at y'all sideways, did it my way. You in the streets, I talk highways. Hurry, move out, nigga, who's out? Cold Contra, get the news out. Extra, nigga, so extra. That's your favorite rapper? Put him on the stretcher.
Woo!
The silhouette eventually. So many y'all over.
So that's that other twin, right?
Favorite rapper? Put him on the stretcher. Ayo, my flow will get the silhouette eventually. So many y'all overshadow my silhouette 50 deep.
Ooh! Right, he said he overshadows, like he's overshadowing someone, but his silhouette, like his shadow, is 50 deep. He's so large, he's overshadowing everyone. Sick wordplay.
So many y'all overshadow my silhouette 50 deep. Tazos, the son of God, ain't nobody eclipsing me. Under God and your problems.
The play on overshadowing, and then he started talking about eclipsing me, right? A solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the earth and the sun, right? So you can get a total or a partial eclipse. So just a wordplay there on eclipse with the silhouette and overshadowing. Overshadow, silhouette.
One solution under God and your problems ain't shit to me. Nigga, my victory in the cannon, your gun jam. I share space with the greatest standing, they lungs pan. I prefer mano a mano till she get one-handed, rather they keep
mano to mano is like man to man, right? Face to face.
The greatest standing, they lungs pan. I prefer mano a mano till she get one-handed, rather they keep it elephants and rooms that become mammoths. My uncle saying any.
Did he say keep rather than keep elephants in the room? When you address the elephant in the room, it's like you discuss something before it becomes a bigger problem. I guess it'd be an elephant to a woolly mammoth, right?
Eclipsing me, one solution under God and your problems ain't shit to me. Nigga, my victory in the cannon, your gun jam. I share space with the greatest standing, they lungs
I share space with the greatest standing. These are the best. We're the best at what we do.
I share space with the greatest standing, they lungs pan. I prefer mano a mano till she get one-handed, rather than keep it elephants and rooms that become mammoths. My uncle saying any, mini, mighty, mo. Record Cali, Colombia, my name.
Ooh.
From city to city, we've been on the road. From coast
Hip hop, real hip hop.
my heart pumping from drying out these blood suckers. I had an appetite for destruction since the last supper. Said my grace before I scraped the plate and remain hungry from a third world country, but the whole world loved me.
Woo!
Walking on eggshells around me.
Oh, the wordplay, right? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horsemen and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. He's an egg, and he breaks his eggshell, right? But he starts talking about walking on eggshells. Sick.
Said my grace before I scraped the plate and remain hungry from a third world country, but the whole world loved me. Rappers falling off like Humpty Dumpty, walking on eggshells around me. They body parts fell apart before they first start. I outshined my ultrasound before I was found. Now I illuminate the whole crowd. Move out, nigga, move out.
Oh, is there another verse?
So extra. That's your favorite rapper? Put him on the stretcher.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Ooh. No, that's old school, man. It brings that vibe, that feeling that you used to get when good hip hop was out. Something you could just get in and just let loose with. Man, if you guys are a fan of Coast Contra like I've become recently, make sure you like the video, but subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue getting in their catalog and getting into new music like this, and really keeping hip hop alive, and showing these guys love as well. But let me know if there's any Coast Contra music that I haven't got to yet that you guys want me to check out. Coast Contra has their own folder, and we have a variety of their different freestyles, and we've done breakdowns of all of their music. We're going to continue adding to that. We'll see you on the next video.